You already know what's going on. You don't need me to explain it to you. It's me. It's Toby. It's Draft Degenerates. We're here for the interviews. It says it in the title. You saw it in the thumbnail. You know what's going on. Do you need me to break it down for you, or do you want to just cut out the middleman, go down below the video, say, wow, Hunter looks really hot today, like the video, subscribe to the video, welcome to the interview. We're here with Hunter, aka ArcheryVGC, coach of the Miami Fins, in don't cut this out, leave this in.
No,
in the blue division, in Mabalzich. He's here. He's looking cute. And we're ready to jump right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on, Hunter.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. I really love the channel. I love the interviews you guys do. They're probably some of my favorite content out of the whole community, and I'm happy that I can contribute.
Hell yeah.
Why is Razz? Why is Razz?
Why is his camera not?
Because it was out of you. Listen,
Sonic
this
colors.
is gonna happen a lot of times. I'm gonna need you to not bring it up every time.
It's gonna be brought up every single time.
Sonic
and
colors.
I'll just be out of focus.
And
the whole
also,
interview.
might I say, God, that mustache looks good on you, Hunter.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, well then we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it here. We're gonna ask Hunter all the questions that his adoring fans, i.e. Razz and me, want to know.
True.
So the first thing I want to know, Hunter, is we've got your draft pulled up on our screens here. Tell us a little bit about your draft process, what you wanted to go for originally, how it changed, are you happy with what you got, etc.
Well, I'll just start from the beginning. So, typically when I go into draft process, I think of some mons on the tier list that I want to use, and I think that sounds pretty simple, but it's really important because I feel that in order to really have fun in a draft league, you got to be able to draft bonds that you want to use, and you can't be drafting, just like meta slave stuff. You can't be doing that every single draft. You have to spice it up a little bit, and so I go into every draft thinking, hey, I want to try this mon, or hey, I think this combo could be cool. And for this draft, that was Kilowattrel plus Haxorus. I feel like those two mons are really sick in this low tier format. And I really want to use Kilowattrel because I've seen Wakeman use it and I've seen Charles use it. And they both had some success with it. And so I'm like, yeah. Why are you crossing your arms?
No, it's fine. Just those two guys used it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Razz totally hasn't used it, by the way.
Yeah, obviously.
Never.
Not even once.
Nope.
So that was pretty much kind of the combo I wanted to go for, and I got both, so I was really happy about that. I feel that Kilowattrel is probably one of the best Tailwind setters in the format, along with Talonflame and Noivern, and so I really wanted to use it, and I think Haxorus has like the highest attack stat, if not the second highest. I think it's the highest attack stat in the format.
It's like
Highest, yeah. Yeah, it's like 1 million, and it's really sweet. I think that duo is really sick. And one famous quote that I have to say from Dan is, Haxorus is the best ground type in the game, and I 100% agree.
Correct.
Because Mold Breaker, Terror Ground, like Earthquakes and Stomping Tantrums hit super hard, especially from Haxorus with a base 147. Yeah. I think it's 147.
It is.
Attack stat. So, in my opinion, I think that's really sick, and I wanted to try it out. I didn't think I was gonna get it. I was picked like 8, I think, and so I got Kilowattrel, and I was so happy because I didn't want to have to go with Talonflame. I feel like Kilowattrel's a little bit better as a consistent like offensive Tailwind setter than Talonflame, even though like you can Brave Bird with priority or Tailwind with priority. If you use one Brave Bird, you're done. Like the whole niche is gone, and Kilowattrel's speed tier is insane, and so is Talonflame's, but still. I had better plans with Kilowattrel than Talonflame, and I would have had to adjust. Because if you guys can see, I actually got Tauros Blaze, which is one of another mons that I really wanted. And if I would have gotten Talonflame, that would have messed things up a little bit. So I picked Kilowattrel first. I'm like, that's the mon I'm going to build around. And then the second round comes around, and both Tauros forms are there. And so I'm like, So I look at everybody in blue and red. Exactly. I look at everybody in blue and red, and I'm like, Tauros Blaze probably looks better into what people are picking now. So I just went ahead and picked Tauros Blaze. They're kind of interchangeable in a way. I think Aqua is a little bit better, but I like Tauros Blaze because they're not really weak to Fairy, and I feel like that's really, really valuable in this format because Fairy types are really strong. and especially since I'm picking Haxorus, hopefully on the next round, and so I actually got it. So I got the top 3 that I really wanted. One of the Tauros forms, and then the 1-2 punch that I wanted. And so got those 3, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm at work, right? And so I'm like looking at the tier list, and I'm like, I kind of want to pick something different. I was looking at Samurott, and I actually got it the next round, but this is the 4th round, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? And so I'm looking, I'm like, I've never used Tinkaton before. I'm gonna pick it, and then 30 minutes later, I go on break. I see an admin chat that Sasso is malding because I picked it and I sniped the shit out of him. And I felt so bad. I almost like wanted to trade it to him, but I'm like, nah, he'll be okay. He'll be okay.
He'll be fine.
Also molds about
and
everything.
so,
True.
listen, you said it, not me.
I'm just saying.
I'm just kidding.
He knows.
You know. And so I would say the next 7 picks are kind of just like mons I've never used before. I feel like the top 4 picks were kind of like my main core. I feel like it's really balanced, and there's a lot of really good support there with Tinkaton, like with Thunder Waves and Feints and stuff like Razz just used against Wade, and you know, Kilowattrel just being like one of the most premier Tailwind setters like in Gen 9 in general. I think not even just in low tier. And then I'm getting 2 of the best offensive threats in the format. I thought it was really sweet. So I'll just go quickly down the list. So I got Samurott. I just really wanted to use it. I feel like a lot of people sleep on it. It has a lot of utility. I don't think people understand until like maybe somebody would show them. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to do. There's a lot of Samurott haters out there. Okay, I'm trying to prove them wrong. Okay, there's way too many Samurott haters out there. Razz, I see you nodding your head. Are you agreeing with me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys.
I also agree.
Thank you, Toby. So I picked Bronzor next because I didn't have a tier 4, and I feel like a lot of the good tier 4s were going really quick, and so I was like, well, I know I'm doubling up on steel types, but it's really bulky Trick Room, really hard to deny it. I have Fake Out support with Tinkaton, and then the following Pokemon I picked was actually Stantler, and that was in tier 3, and so now I have two TR setters that can use Eviolite, which is really sweet. Also kind of sucks because I can't use them both at the same time because they both have Eviolite and stuff, but it's fine. I feel, because Stantler gives me not just Trick Room, but Imprison Trick Room, Intimidate, Frisk, Sap Sipper. I don't really think people will use Sap Sipper that much. I think Intimidate and Frisk are pretty much like the premier abilities for that.
Yeah.
My next pick was Florges. I know I'm doubling up on the fairy types, but I think it's fine because Tinkaton and Florges are 2 completely different Pokemon, and I feel like I think fairy type is like one of the best types that you can like double up on. Like I think that's fine.
And Tinkaton's weaknesses, like Steel, negates both fairy weaknesses. So even when you double up, you're not sharing any weaknesses there.
Right. Yeah, totally. And so I picked Flora just because I wanted another special attacker. My best special attacker at the moment was probably Samurott, and like that's not great because Samurott's base special attack stat is like 108, so it's really not that great. Flora just gives me another consistent special attacker. Oh, there's another Pokemon I really wanted to use in this format. It was actually Frostmoth, and I actually got it in like round 9 because I saw everybody else had tier 2s picked, and so I prioritized my low tiers that I really wanted, so I can go back up and pick the tier 2 that nobody else could even draft in round 9. So I got Frostmoth. That mon is so insane with Terra, like with Ice Scales. Oh my god, it's living every special hit, like without Terra, and then like with Terra, it's just, oh my gosh, it's awesome. The sky's the limit with this Pokemon. It gets Tailman, which, whatever. It's more important for like the Quiver Dance, Life Orb stuff. It's really powerful, and I feel like Bolt Beam. What a lot of people do is, at least what I've seen on ladder and like in other draft leagues, is you Terra Electric the Frostmoth and you go Bolt Beam, and that's kind of like a really staple coverage that people used to run on like the Mega Latios and Mega Latioses back in like Gen 7, Gen 8, and it was, I know it's not VGC, but like that was very powerful because it's hard to switch in on, especially with Quiver Dances up. Like that's really insane, and I feel like it was really good value in this tier list, not just because it was tier 2. I think it's fine in tier 2. I was just saying like as opposed to like something else, or like looking at the whole format as a whole and like what options are there. I feel like Frostmoth matches up really well into what a lot of people drafted, so I went with it. And then the next 2 picks are kind of just throwaway picks. I picked Dugtrio. I'm sorry, Joey. I know I sniped you. I'm sorry. It was just there, and it was a ground type, and it was super fast. And Arena Trap is funny, and so I went with that. And also it gets Fisher. Just saying. Yeah, that is very funny.
I mean,
and then
I guess it depends who you ask.
Exactly. Like if you get hit by Fisher, it's not funny, but when you hit Fisher, it's funny. So, and then Zorua, the Hisuian Zorua is just there because it was the best pick available for me. I feel like it adds a little bit of a mind game in prep, even though I might not bring it like a lot of the weeks. I feel like it's still like a game changer if I can make it work, and so I feel like that in tier 4 is really sweet. So that's kind of like the whole draft process and what I think of each mon. I know it's kind of fast, but yeah.
Oh, no, I think you did a pretty good job explaining that, and I think you did a really good job taking advantage of value in each tier, because I'm looking at all these mons and I don't see a single one that's like, oh, you could have drafted a better mon for your team or anything like that. I mean,
Right.
Like when we were looking at it in PRs, we were like, this. I think he took full advantage of everything he could have drafted in his tiers. I mean, maybe Bronzor is a little redundant, but other than that, that would be the only thing that I see.
Right.
So very good job on the drafting process. But
Thank you.
I don't think you need anybody to tell you that because you're an expert at that. So
True. Yeah.
I'm really not. And by the way, guys, I saw your video, and this is actually the first time I've ever gotten number 1 in PRs.
oh, there you
No.
go. I
And
told
you
you.
guys said.
You got top 3 like a lot, top 3, top 5 like a lot though.
Yeah, but I've never gotten that top 1, so it actually it made me feel good. So I just thank you guys for the high placement on that.
Well, of course.
Thank you for drafting a good team.
Of course, and that actually segues us into our next question. You ranked number 1 in power rankings, as said so by your objectively correct overlords, Toby and
Yeah.
Razz. Do you agree with your number 1 placement?
Sure. I go into every season thinking that I can make my team work. Primarily just because of one of the reasons why I stated before, kind of like the start of my draft process. It's just mons that I want to use, and I feel like when I look at those mons I really want to use, I think I can make any team work by using those mons and trying to draft around those. And I think I did a pretty good job in this draft. This is probably one of the better drafts I've had. Even though it is low tier, I still think it is one of the better drafts I've had.
Yeah.
Along with probably my GLDL Season 2 and my Sandbox Season 1 teams. I think those are probably some of my better teams, but I like this one a lot. I'm still kind of getting used to the non-max format. I played max all the way through Gen 8, so I'm kind of like coming back down to non-max, and I think this team can flourish in non-max. I think number 1 is fine. I could have seen myself being number 2 and number 3. When I was watching through, I watched the whole video, and I was like, as long as I make top half, I'm good. And then I made like top 5, and I'm like, okay, nice. And then I made top 3, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, okay. I saw I don't remember who was at 3, but I was watching number 3, and I'm like, okay, so I made top 2. I'm like, it's me or Joey, and I'm like, I think my team might be a little bit better than Joey's. And then it was Joey and then me, and I'm like, oh yes, yes. I feel like Joey's could be number 1. I feel like me and Joey probably had the best teams.
Right.
Aside from probably, well, his team wasn't ranked that high, but I think my matchup into somebody else's team, I think we're gonna segue into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Sasso's team, that dude, I swear, he just dude, that dude. Anyway, but yeah, I kind of do agree with number 1 placement. I think number 2 could have been fine, number 3 could have been fine, but always happy to get number 1, and thank you guys again for that. That was awesome.
Of course. I will say, yeah, I think like top 3 could have been moved around a little bit at some point, but I think we generally landed on number 1 because we thought you had that just tiny bit edge over Wakeman's was number 3, and then Joey's as well.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I will defend number 1 all day. I think number 1 is correct.
I also think it's correct. I do think, honestly, I think probably the top 4 could arguably have been shuffled around. Like, obviously we got it like objectively correct,
Of
but
course.
I feel like if someone wanted to make the case for a lot of those things getting shifted, they could. There were a lot of good teams in that division, and so it's like
Mabalzich division has a very high power level.
Yeah.
There is a very high power
like
level
it
to the teams.
starts like here, and then the next one is like here.
God, we're
It's
spicy, dude.
kind of fucked up, honestly.
Holy shit.
What a
Okay.
job.
Yeah. Well, well, and also I guess it's worth mentioning when you compare anything to Icy Dude's team. Most teams look pretty damn good. I'm just saying, I'm the guy who's gonna be real about it. Okay, it was not a good team.
No, I'm not touching that. My hands are off. No.
All right, fair enough.
Y'all are gonna bait me today, dude. No, y'all are baiting me today. No.
Fair enough.
So you mentioned that you mentioned your matchup into Sasso being not great, which is probably true. I mean, I have some thoughts personally, but whatever. The matchup that I'm interested in is the rematch between you and Samuel, because you guys have had a lot of like high profile matches over the past few months, and it's really gone back and forth in terms of like who takes it or whatever. And so with the games in the past like going really either way, how do you feel about that matchup, and do you think like when you get there it's gonna be kind of one-sided, or do you think it's gonna be really tight again?
So I will well, first I just want to point out I don't actually play him in the regular season.
What?
I did dodge him. So Razz, I'll give you this. If we were to play again, it would be another high-profile match. It would be in playoffs. So
I mean,
that
I have faith it's gonna happen.
I think so.
Listen, we'll see. It's randomized for the most part.
Right.
So like, we will see.
Fate will decide.
It's up to God at this point. So, I will go back though to kind of take a step back on what you were saying. So you mentioned the high-profile matches. I actually think all 5 of them came down to draft diff. I think every single one of them did. I think, I'm not saying that his draft was like objectively better than mine in GLDL season 2 specifically, but he did have a sun mode into my Celesteela team, and the only thing I had to really shut down that sun mode was a Polytoad, and he had a G-Max Venusaur, so like that's not really the best matchup. I was just happy to bring it to 3 in both of those sets, and then in Sandbox, Porygon is just yeah, and then I just kind of and then and that was both games. I did get lucky in finals with that Scald Burn, but I felt like I played pretty good up until that point, and I was just kind of fishing like the last 3 or 4 turns for Scald Burns, and I got one that I needed one to win the game, and I got it, as well as Ice Beam Freezes. And so I feel like in the regular season I beat him just like, it was just 2-1. It was a really good match, and I kind of made an adjustment game 3 with Max Cubone and Stuffle. And that kind of sealed the deal for me game 3 in the regular season. And then in the finals, I got a lucky Scald Burn. I was just fishing, like I said. Got it, won, and then I played him for a 5th time. At that point, we were 2-2. He beat me 2 times, I beat him 2 times. And we played in the UDL off season, and I maxed a Klinklang, and I won. And so I did a thing, and I won. And why are you laughing? No, Klinklang is legit, dude.
I hate it, and it's not because I think it's bad. It's because every time I've gone up against a Klinklang, I got fucked up.
Listen, Klinklang is legit. That mon is so fun, and it was my first time using it, and I just maxed it. I'm like, it looks okay, and I did it, and it was a thing, and so I beat him. So I actually have the head-to-head on him, and I think, like I said before, every single one of those matches came down to draft diff, and I think this time is no different. Although I do think the gap is a lot closer between us this time than in previous seasons. I think in GLDL it was probably him and probably Rolo who had the best teams straight off, and then in Sandbox it was probably me and Wake, and then in UDL he didn't have anything for Klinklang. So like it had to do with matchups like primarily, and I think it was pretty even in Sandbox, but this time I don't know who has the edge yet. I really don't. And I've looked at the teams in the My Balls Itch draft quite a bit,
Mhm.
and I think it's probably Wake, Sasso, and Joey that give me the most trouble matchup wise. And I think your point stands. I think, you know, the high profile matches are really cool and all, but um, it's just hard because, the only time I get to play Wake is in like finals in a league
Yeah.
or like, like it's like I can't really play him in any other setting because I either dodge him in regular season or he's just so good he makes finals. Like it's hard.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wakeman, by the way. Love you, bro.
Shout out to Wakeman.
And so, I feel like it'd be a fun one. I feel like he's got a lot of stuff that he can do with his team. He got the other Tauros form, which, by default beats mine. He has a really sick Sun mode with Sableye and Charizard, which was great in Gen 8, and I think it's still very viable in Gen 9 non-max. And I think Arboliva is really sweet. I am an Arboliver, by the way. Absolutely.
Hashtag
Yeah.
our believers.
That's what I'm saying. He's got a lot of stuff he can work with, and I think his team's really sick. I wasn't gonna be surprised if you guys ranked his above mine, because I thought it was really sick, and he
Mhm.
typically does a pretty good job. He also has Persian, which is really sweet.
True.
I think Persian in this format's probably one of the better support options if I had to guess, just straight up. That's like not prankster or anything like that, but he has Sableye and Persian. Like he probably has the best support duo in the entire like UDL in my
Yeah.
eyes. Like that is really really good.
I absolutely.
And then he's pairing it with, hard hitters like Charizard, Tauros Aqua, Arboliva,
Mhm.
like really sick Fire Water Grass core. I will say this though, this might be a hot take, I don't know, but I feel like this channel is full of hot takes, so here we go.
Sure.
Okay. I feel like cores in this generation are a little bit less important, and by a little bit less, I mean a lot less important. As you guys can see by my draft, I didn't draft a grass type, and that wasn't
True.
like unintentional. Like I did that on purpose because I feel like grass types, one, they have so many weaknesses. Like it's almost unbearable how many weaknesses grass types have, and there aren't that many great ones in the draft. And if they were, they're already taken. Are you raising your hand?
I am.
Go ahead.
Fun fact, grass type is tied with rock type for the most weaknesses out of any single type with 5, I believe.
5. That is just nuts.
Yeah, it is.
And like it's just crazy because I think fantasy cores are pretty important still, and I think that's like the only core that you should really like try and focus on if you're going like a core strategy. And I feel like I did a pretty good job with that, even though my fairy type is also my steel type until I drafted Florges, which I think is fine. But like,
Yeah.
I think cores are a little bit lackluster this generation, and I think that's a hot take because a lot of people still build around them. Like Wake did, he built a really sick Fire Water Grass core, and obviously you can just say just Terra around it. Like it's like that's kind of subjective and just kind of a boring argument, but I think it has some truth to it. I feel like Terra Fairy is a really good defensive and offensive typing, as well as Terra Water and Terra Grass. I feel like they're great, and that's so ironic because we say that grass types have so many weaknesses, but we
Right.
find a lot of people tearing into Terra Grass, like a lot, to like
Yeah.
resist
Yeah.
these, like ground, water attacks. Like it's really important to like have good Terras, and I think sometimes you don't necessarily need cores to fill those typings because you can just defensively or offensively Terra. And I feel like a lot of the time you don't need it. And a lot of people still build around that. And I feel like I don't really see that many people like phasing out the cores. Like I know there are like some other cores that are like good, like electric, flying, ground, which I have. That wasn't intentional. I don't really care about those miniature cores like psychic, dark, fighting. Like those are good. But like you can Terra into those fine, and a lot of mons get those kinds of coverages, and those cores aren't necessarily great defensive cores. They're more like offensive coverage cores. I feel like fantasy cores are really important. Fire, water, grass cores are cool. I feel like cores are pretty subjective this gen. I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent, but
I mean, I kind of agree. So
I think it's weird because on one hand everything you said is true, but on the other hand it's like you only get 1 Terra a game, and so it's like I think it's something that you don't have to focus on quite as hard, but I think it's still something that you need to keep in mind because like part of the reason I like cores is because it makes sure I have type diversity. Whereas if I'm like, oh, looking at just whatever's good and ignoring types, I'm gonna end up with like 5 fire types, and then it's like I can only do Terra defensively with one of them, and the rest are still weak to all the same shit. So it's like, it's a weird in between, and I think it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward.
I agree.
I can agree. I definitely do agree with the point that I think cores are a lot less important this time around. I think obviously it's kind of, like you said, a subjective thing to say, oh, just Terra around it, but I mean, like, really you can, as long as you have workable type synergies, as long as you can make one adjustment with a Terra per game and you can be fine, I feel.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think another question that your adoring public fans would like to know, Hunter, is do you think playoffs are in the cards for you this season, and what do you think it's going to take for you to get there?
I'd like to hope so. You know, I when I join a league, I intend to win. You know, as does everybody else, unless it's just to have fun, which I understand. It is low tier. A lot of people, we have a lot of new faces in UDL this season just to have fun and enjoy the format, which I love. Because I really love low tier, and I think, you know, people join to have fun, people join to win. Obviously, I join every league I want to join to win, and I try my best a lot of the time. I didn't have the best week 1 ever. If y'all saw that match, I'm not happy with that one. Shout out to Guardian, dude. That dude fucked me up. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that you guys are both like,
swear
yes.
as much as you fucking want.
Yes.
Who the hell cares?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of messed me up week 1. Even though it was 2-1, I feel like, you know, he kind of did mess me up. He kind of just destroyed me with Miss Magius, and I totally slept on it. By the way, don't sleep on Miss Magius ever. That mon is so sick. Exactly. Yeah. So I'd like to think playoffs are in the cards. Obviously, starting out 0-1 isn't the greatest. I don't know. I think I'm still trying to figure out the team and how I want to play with it. To shout out to Guardian for that week 1 win, dude, that was awesome. And then on top of all that, like, what it'll take for me to get there, I think that's kind of a loaded question because it obviously takes winning.
Well, sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that week 1, so that kind of sucks. But I think it'll have to come down to prep. I think one of my biggest strengths in Gen 8 was my prep, and I think that got showcased in GLDL and Sandbox. And I think, I don't know. That's kind of a weird question because I have 2 separate answers to it. I want what it'll take for me to get there. It'll take me prepping super hard and just kind of like mind gaming my opponent, and I think I have the tools to do that a little bit. I think my team's really versatile, and I think the other thing that it'll take is actually some luck, and I think it has to do with people in my division underperforming, because I look at my division, I'm looking down the list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we have so many powerhouses in our division. I mean, in both divisions, there's a lot of powerhouses and stuff, but it's not going to be easy, and I think I'm probably projecting myself to be at like a 5-3 record, but I will say I don't think 5-3 for playoffs is completely out of the question. Obviously, I'd like to go, 7-1 after I lost week 1. I'd like to win every game, but I think 5-3 is probably an accurate representation of what I'll go this season. I think 6-2 at the highest. Like I think I can win a lot of matchups just based off of draft, and I think that's really important. Having a good draft, and I already kind of secured that. I think all in all, it'll just come down to how my division performs and how I perform against my division. I think that's kind of obvious, but it's also really important because the playoff structure is a lot more tight, considering that only 6 people out of the 12 roster get in, and like obviously that's kind of standard. I feel 6 out of 12 getting into playoffs is pretty standard, but the way it's set up, only 2 people from each subdivision are getting in guaranteed, and the rest are like completely performance based. You know what I mean? Like there could be 4 people from blue getting in, but only 2 from red, or like 4 people from yellow and 2 people from green. Like it's set up to possibly be like that,
Yeah.
and it's it's very important that you take every week super seriously, especially since it's an 8-week season. So, I love the competition. I'm here for it. I have a really fun draft, and I have adoring fans like you guys to support me. So I think I'm in a pretty good place.
I see a hunter video. I click the hunter video.
Literally
That was
true.
so funny, dude.
I click the hunter video.
Yeah.
I like the hunter video. I watch the hunter video at least 1.5 times.
Yeah, give or take.
Maybe 2, maybe 1.25, depending on the day, you know. But always 1. Okay, and then Hunter, I think your adoring fans, the next question they want to know is what coaches do you think are going to come out on top in the in who's going to be first place in every subdivision? Like who do you have your bets on?
I mean, it's hard. I think first off, I need to say that barbecue's winning yellow. Okay,
Yeah,
barbecue's winning yellow. Okay, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That dude is cracked. Y'all ain't ready for the barbecue show. Okay,
cooking.
Bro, he is grilling shit out here. All right,
On God.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Let me see. Green. Probably gonna go. I mean, Ali is pretty much like the safest bet out of green because I think that, and I'll say this, I think when I looked originally at the UDL doc and I was like, look, these players are gonna come out on top for each draft. I thought it was gonna be Ali and I thought it was gonna be Sasso. I think both of those guys have potential because Ali is Ali. Okay, y'all know that dude is cracked.
Mhm.
And then I think Sasso, his team is right up his alley, like right up his alley. And so, watch out for that dude. That dude already beat Wake. That's already impressive as is, dude. Okay, he already beat Wake week
Huge
1.
tribute right away.
Literally, first game jitters comes out, boom, beats Wake. Like that's
Get on.
I mean, yeah, it's respectable.
You know what I mean? Like, and then okay, so green, and I think Sasso's probably gonna take red. That's my guess. It's either, dude, red is so stacked. There's like 4 or 5 players that could really do well in this. If I had I'm just gonna say Sasso, because I think his draft is probably, I don't want to say the best, dude, but I think it's probably one of the best besides Wakeman. And I think, and he already beat Wake, so like, I mean, you know what I mean? If it wasn't gonna be Sasso, I would say Mario. I think that dude is super solid. That dude he's just like he's really good. He already beat Wake in GLDL.
Good team too.
And yeah, and his team's pretty sweet. I like the Weave Al Colossal mode in tier 2s. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then he also has Gastrodon, and I think he's got Glamora too, right? I think his team is pretty sweet. He has a lot of potential with it, and I think this team is really reminiscent of what he was running in GLDL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so like stylistic wise, obviously he had like Fluttermane and like Sableye and all this shit, but like, you know, I think it's right up his alley. So it's probably gonna be either Sasso or Mario for the red, and then for blue, I'd like to think I would win it. And I'm not saying that to be cocky. I just would like to. But if it wasn't me, my money is on Depis, and I don't think that it's because of his draft, because I've seen better from him. Not saying his draft is holistically bad, but I will say I have seen better drafts from him. I think it's kind of just like a low tier, you know, draft, and I think he's just in this for fun. But I think he's probably the best player in blue. I think he's blossomed into a really big time contender. He literally just won GLDL. Like that's a lot.
Right.
One of the first Gen 9 seasons he's played, and he won it. So I think that just shows how good he is. And he's, every single season that I've seen him in like any draft league period, he's just gotten better and better and better. And I don't think this is gonna change. And I think his team is like really strong. He's got like Hippowdon and Noivern, and I think he's got Palmot too. He's got some pieces, and I think it's pretty sweet. So if I had to guess, if it wasn't me, it would probably be Depis for blue. So it's Depis in blue, Sasso in red, Barbecue in yellow. That's my boy. Shout out barbecue
Shout out.
and
Shout out
probably Ollie.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can respect
I can.
Wait, hold
respect
on,
all
hold on.
those.
holding.
We're gonna do Step Brothers here. Hold on. I'm
Okay.
gonna interview you guys now.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on who's winning each. I want to know.
Okay. Let me
Alright.
pull it up.
Blue, you, Larry, Guardian. Guardian kind of cooked week 1.
Yeah, he
Joey and Hippo and Depiz. Honestly, this lineup is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
With
same.
Depiz, who you
dude.
mentioned is extremely good. Hippo, we all know is good. Joey is really good. Guardian is already doing really well with this team. Larry, come on. And
goat.
you, holy shit, dude! What a 6. 8, 6, 6. That's kind of crazy. But personally, my money's on the Miami Fins, and it's not because I'm a kiss ass. It's because I think Tinkaton Toros Haxorus is really, really strong. I like this team. I know you're a really good player. That's where my money goes. And also, I am a kiss ass, and I.
Well, yeah. I wasn't gonna say it.
In red, I think Sasso is a really, really strong contender. I think there are a lot of really strong contenders, but if there's one thing I know about Samuel Wakeman, it's that he clutches shit out most of the time. So I think it's between him or Sasso. I'm leaning more towards him. In yellow, I'm gonna win, obviously,
Sure.
and then in green, Yeet's really good. Toby's good. Is
Yeah.
probably Ollie for but Toxic? Sometimes Toxic is good all the time, but sometimes that kid shows up.
Yeah.
Like, can I just say something really quick? I want to go through green really quick.
Sure.
I mean, I just want to talk straight up. Okay, so you know Ollie, he's obviously won championships. You
Yeah.
look at Ed, he's having a great Gen 9 run already. He made semis in VDL. I don't know if you guys knew that. He
Yeah.
literally made semis in VDL. Shout out to Ed, I love you, bro. You look at Toxic. Like, dude, this division, I would say this is probably the best division. You look at Toxic, he's always a contender, always in playoffs. You look at Toby, he's on the rise. He's making playoffs recently. He's doing really good. You look at Flame, unproven, good player. And then you look at Yeet, who's also unproven, but he's also a great player. And it's just like, who's coming in third?
You're right.
Right.
Who's coming in last? Who is coming in last?
It is
Yeah.
hard to tell. It's really hard to tell.
Like, who? I don't know. It's hard for me. I don't know. I mean, I just went with Ollie because of his success
Yeah.
in past seasons, and
For
like,
sure.
but like,
It's a strong division for sure.
For
absolutely, that division's nuts.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think if I were to be a betting man on blue, I would probably have to agree and say it's between Hunter and Depiz, and that's not because I'm a kiss ass. I mean I am, but not specifically here. I think between Hunter and Depiz, specifically because I think Depiz is, like we said, a very good player, and Hunter has an insane team and is also a really, really good player in his own right. And so I think it will probably come down between either of those two.
Such a good division. Oh my god.
It's
Sorry.
it's cracked.
It's fucked up.
For red.
basically.
For red, I would say I think my bets are probably on either Rolo or Sasso. Wake has a really good team, but he has been struggling with Gen 9 so far, so I feel like he might not be fully dialed in yet, so I don't know if that'll... Yes, Hunter.
He has the beanbag.
That
Don't
is
sleep on the
true.
beanbag.
That is
Don't
true.
sleep
So
on the
true.
beanbag.
He is in the beanbag now. That is true. So, okay, maybe. Okay, when I start seeing beanbag results, maybe my answer will change.
Okay.
But for
That's
now, I'll say between Rolo and Sasso.
Yeah.
Then for yellow, what do we have? Oh, I gotta,
know.
I gotta
I
say, like, probably Flamingo or Emboss, I feel. I could see Barbecue coming out of nowhere with this. What?
Fuck.
What?
He fights M-Boss next week.
Ah!
Yeah, I could see Emboss or
The
Flamingo.
two guys you mentioned are my week 1 and my week 2. This is fucked up.
Look, dude. I mean, I think
You already won one of them.
Emboss is a proven champion in the past. He's come back. He took a break from draft for a while, but came back in the last season of GLDL and would have made playoffs if he hadn't taken over a team that was 0-3 or something like that already.
Right,
And
yeah.
Flamingo is just always cooking with gas. It's, you know, I've never seen Flamingo do so horribly I've cringed. I mean, I could really see Barbecue coming onto the scene out of nowhere with a steel chair and immediately destroying everybody. I mean, I could totally see it. And for Green, putting my personal biases aside, probably either Ollie or Toxic. If I had to guess. I think Ollie's the more likely one, but Toxic does have a tendency to just come out of nowhere sometimes, so I could for sure see Toxic.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
For sure.
Okay, then Razz, do you have any further questions for our handsome manhunter here? You're muted.
We're wrapping it up.
Oh no.
We-
Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
We're wrapping it up. I'm wondering. Well, I'm not wondering. I already know. But I know there are people watching this who go, "Wow, that guy's so smart. He's so handsome. He is so charismatic, and so cool. Where can I consume more of his content?" And so, where can we find you online?
You can find me at youtube.com/WakemanVGC.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Forget I said anything.
Okay.
We are going to link your channel down in the
Yeah,
description.
we'll
Follow up. What's your real life address?
What's my real life address?
Your credit card while you're
I'll
at
send
it
it
too.
to you and put it in the
Yeah.
description.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
DM it.
Awesome.
DM it.
All right, then Razz outro.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. It's been the Draft Degenerates. You know who it is. It's me. It's Toby. Make sure you go check out Hunter's channel. Like I said, it's going to be linked in the description. He makes all kinds of content. I've been in videos over there. Toby has been in videos over there. This guy kicks ass. It's great content. It's fun to watch. Very analytical. He's a smart guy. Very talented. Seriously, go down there. Definitely subscribe. Before you go over there, though, subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Do all the engagement stuff. We're trying to reach 10 million subscribers by the end of the month. So make sure you're helping us out and doing your part. Obviously, this is a great video. We know it. You know it. It's incredible. That's going to be from us. Thanks so much for watching all the way through. We're going to go record another interview right now. So we will see you when that one goes up on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Make sure the bell is on because it's going to be with some fire-ass coaches. And you know you're going to want to see it. So just cut the bullshit, hit the buttons. See you later.
All right.
Razz, you are so hot.